Hi everyone, it's Efe here, and today I want to share with us on a challenge I call Don't Complain Challenge. Don't Complain Challenge. I attended a webinar, and one of the action items was that we shouldn't complain for the next 2 weeks. And guess what? 1 hour after the webinar, I found myself complaining about something I was working on my laptop. And I remember the challenge, so I stopped immediately and I looked for something to be grateful for instead. Do you complain and you are not too happy with your situation or your challenge? Don't complain about it. Look for something instead to be grateful to God for. Look for something to be grateful to God for. I remember the story of Elijah, a prophet in the Bible, who was directed by God to go to Zarephath, and there was a widow. When he got there, he saw a widow gathering some sticks, and he beckoned on her to get him some water. And as she was going, he asked her to bake a cake for him or some bread, something to eat, And the lady said, "To be honest with you, I'm just gathering sticks. I only have so much flour, so much oil, and I just want to make the last meal for me and my son to eat, and we will die." And Elijah told her, "Don't be afraid. Just go and do as I've said. Make for me first, and then you make for yourself and your son." I guess if the woman had complained, she wouldn't have, maybe she would have died. But she didn't complain. She just went, prepared the meal, and really, according to the word of the prophet of God, the oil and the flour still remained, and they were able to eat for as long as there was no rain, until rain came upon the land. So what lesson do we learn from here? Whenever we are faced with challenges, let's learn to be grateful for even what we have, even though we may think it's nothing. Let's be grateful. Let's look for something to be grateful for. Another story I want to tell you is about my own self. There was one of these days I came back from work. I was so tired, and by the time I got home, I found a foil pan of cookies at my doorstep. And the first thing that came to my mind was, my goodness, who dropped food on a foot mat? I was wondering. I said, that's very unhealthy, because I just felt, well, the foot mat is something that people have brushed their dirty shoes on, so food shouldn't be kept there. And something in me just rebuked me immediately and said, somebody took out time to prepare cookies for you, and the only thing you can see is that they put it on a dirty foot mat. Yes, it may not be right to do that, but why not think of the positive aspect of it? The person thought about me, she prepared the cookies, and she actually brought it to me. And what really matters is the intention, it's the genuineness of our actions, it's whether it's coming from the bottom of our hearts. So instead of complaining, let's look for something to be grateful to God for. I'm doing this challenge. We were told to do it for 2 weeks, but I'm going to do it for 1 month, and I'm going to journal as I go. So if you want to join in the challenge, you can join in the challenge and see if you're going to complain. But the good thing about it is that if you find yourself complaining, just stop immediately and look for something to be grateful to God for. Something as easy as sleeping and waking up that we usually take for granted. A lot of people go to bed with medication. They can't sleep without medication. A lot of people can't empty their bowels without medication. A lot of people can't walk without medication. But here we are, we can walk, we can see, we can sleep at any time, wake up at any time and feel great, and we still complain. So let's go with the challenge, and let's learn to be grateful to God for what we have. I hope I've been able to inspire you, and like I always say, that my mission is to inspire you to be the best version of yourself. The mind doesn't have to make any effort to think anything negative, but it can, it has to be programmed to think positive, because a lot of times when we fall into one challenge or the other, the first thing we think about is the negative aspect of it. So the mind doesn't have to make any effort to think negative. It doesn't have to make any effort to complain. But if you are able to reprogram your mind, you're able to teach your mind and force your mind to think positive, to think good, to think of something to be grateful for, then your mind will begin to get used to it, and it now becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, that aspect of you has been sorted out. You'll now become a better person in that area. So let's do it one step at a time, one day at a time. Go along with this challenge if you want, but look for something to be grateful to God for. So till I see you on the next video, stay blessed, stay inspired, and stay grateful. Take care.